there. So I'm just going to go ahead and start talking for the playback. While I wait on a few people to join, I am tired today. I worked overnight last night. And honey, let me tell you, I am so tired. However, I'm going to push through it because it's game night tonight. It seems like I always do videos on game nights. So that's cool. But as you can see, I am live because it's how to end a relationship. Now, who am I to say how to end a relationship? Well, let me first start by giving you my professional rundown. My name is Latoriea Quinchay. If you go look for me professionally, I'm Latoriea Quinchay Edwards. I am a certified community psychologist. I'm a former trauma specialist, certified with the state of Kansas. With that being said, I have worked with many of people on many of different levels. The longest being that I worked in a shelter with children who had experienced trauma. And I worked within that shelter, not only as a community psychologist, as a director, as so many other hats, right? I also have a spa where I work with people as a massage therapist, still being in the role, not necessarily of a, advisor or giving any type of coaching in that kind of way. But oftentimes I'm in a place of being a listener. And I hear people all the time wonder and ask, not necessarily how they end a relationship always with another person, but sometimes how do they end a relationship that they have been holding on to within themselves, where they have unrealistic expectations and unrealistic fantasies of what you expect a person to be and how you expect them to show up for you and how you expect their role to play out in your life. Some people have really unrealistic expectations of others. And with that, it becomes heartbreak. And also with that, if that other person shows up in a way that is not healthy, that is not conducive to your well-being, or a person is showing up in a way where it's really harmful and it needs to be disrupted, which means it needs to be let go, right? Sometimes you need to hear it the right way. How do you end a relationship? And so I share with you, after working with so many different people, having so many different types of conversations, and then also having an experience myself, needing to understand boundaries, needing to understand how do you go about being authentic for yourself and to others without overextending yourself. And sometimes it gets a little rough. And with that, you need to end the relationship. It doesn't mean you cut them off and you don't talk to them ever again and you have no good heart feelings for them. What I'm saying to you is you end the relationship in how you show up, how you appear to yourself, how you reflect to yourself. If you're not being authentic, if you're not being honest, if you're not being true, if you're not even being the version of you that lives out your fullest potential, you have to extinguish relationships just for the sake of you need to be your best you. And if it doesn't bring out your best you, then how do you serve? And how does it serve you, right? So I got a few comments down here below. Hey there, Rex. How you doing? Thank you for joining me today, excuse me. And then Clint Gage, thank you. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate that. So thank you, Clint. I love that. So thank you. I understand when you have that. That's rough. And I say that with a lot of empathy. I work with clients who deal with both. And I myself also deal with my own mental health issues and things like that. And I tell you, to be epileptic, that's wow. But I'm glad you're advocate. So we're in the same boat. I'm a massage therapist as well as a community psychologist. And so helping others seems to be life. It's fulfilling. But it's also fulfilling in the way you learn yourself and the way that you grow. So it's really cool. That's really cool. Yes, Rex, I can stop for a second, but I don't know what I'm stopping for. So until you can tell me what I'm stopping for, I'll keep going. But with that, you have to end relationships that you're not able to show up and be your authentic self, and you don't have courage, and you don't have your space together. It's really important. So anyway, I do have notes. Y'all know I keep notes. I have to keep my thoughts together in that way. But, you know, I wanted to do this video today because I remember there were days where I myself was in a relationship, and being one that I'm a professional businesswoman, right? And I have all these tasks where I'm here to serve others, which is I'm a massage therapist that has a spa. So that means I got to not only be the massage therapist to somebody else, but I also have to be, the employer because I have other people that do massages here. And then I also have to show up at night, right? I have to show up at night to my overnight shift where I, again, work with kids that are at emergency shelter. And I have to balance my own personal life. And so, how to end a relationship. So, the relationship that I need to end or that I will end is that I have been working at the shelter for over 2.5 decades. And I've always worked at this shelter for 2.5 decades. But I opened up my own spa location. And so, how do you end a relationship with the version of yourself that you imagine yourself to be? I remember when I first started this journey, it was about honestly, I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I ended up going to school and became a psychologist. But I saw how children were being administered medication. And that's why, if you ever catch any of my other videos, I'm very passionate about what type of medications we take, but also being very healthy to yourself and taking care of yourselves. Because I know that when you give children too much medication, there's adverse side effects. And so that relationship that has to end for me is professional. But then I began to think about all the times I had to end a relationship on a personal level and even how it affects us to the core, because that's how it feels. Ending this relationship feels like that for me. And so I really began to think about how could I present a video today, or how could I go live today talking about ending a relationship. Hold on. So let me read this. That's excellent. That's excellent. That's dope. So I really wanted to end this relationship, but then how it related to even others, because I didn't want to go live just talking about that. It wouldn't make sense. So with that, I want to share with you, you can end relationships, and you can end relationships in a way that's healthy. You can end relationships in a way, if you are in a relationship that is abusive, that you have a partner that has narcissism, or you have a partner that is an alcoholic, or you have a partner that is like physically causing harm, putting you in danger, I would first say to you, if you are in an emergency situation and you are having trouble, you need to call the first line of defense, which is the police department, that is with your 911. I have to tell you that you don't have to stay in that type of relationship. And I know that it's not easy to walk away. I have had the honor of working with women and sitting on a panel in which I learned about even more details of narcissistic relationships. I've never been in a narcissistic relationship. Matter of fact, how things are described, I could even say that I might have been even sometimes the narcissist in my own relationships. And so you don't have to stay with a person that doesn't treat you well. You don't have to stay in a relationship that doesn't treat you well. You don't have to stay anywhere where you have to stay in danger. And so if you are in current danger, go ahead and call 911, especially if it's in the act of being dangerous. But with that being said, if you have time to really think about and assess your thoughts, assess your feelings, assess how you are presenting not only this version of yourself, but how are you presenting this relationship to yourself? You want to be in a healthy relationship, or are you being healthy to your own relationship? If there's a problem, maybe it's you, and maybe ending the version of you that you no longer want to live out, and it's not authentic to your core being. You need to end the relationship with the version of you that is not what is conducive to your potential and what makes you grow and what you need to grow. Your maturation can't happen if you are still living out a version of yourself, which we would call fake today. So I just share with you just tips for anyone going through those type of changes and how you're wanting to end a relationship. Again, if it's with the version of yourself, with that being accountability and responsibility to your choices and how you show up in the day. Maybe it is you always starting an argument. Maybe it is you always being negative, and or maybe it's someone being picky and nagging and whatever with you, and it's just taking you down. And so you're living in a low vibrational frequency now, because it's those arguments that keep you guys going in these vicious cycles. It's the arguments of pettiness. So many people are petty. But if it's you, assess that. Take accountability and responsibility for that. But then also take accountability and responsibility of, if you can't show up for that person, the other person in the relationship, in the way that you need to show up for them so that they can be also the best version of themselves. It's you again that has to make the decision of, someone has to make the choice. Someone has to make the hard decision that this isn't for us. This isn't quite working out. This isn't allowing me to be who I need to be. And so therefore I need to let you go. I'm doing you a favor, because if you really wanted to see me in the way that I know I'm supposed to be, you'll know that it ain't with you. And so I'm sharing with you, yes, the hard way to go about things, but the way that you really necessarily need to go about it. Why, again, someone asked on another video, am I a teacher? No, I'm not a teacher. I'm a former trauma specialist. So I know what it looks like when people go through trauma in relationships, and their house business, the things that should have been settled in the living room, spills out into the street and becomes street business, because then it affects children. These children are seeing people get beat on. These children are seeing people drink alcohol all day. These people are seeing, and these people are their parents, or these people are the people that they are in closest connection to. And even then, I've had to talk to children about what it means to really end a relationship as well. So I share with you that, it's an inner knowingness that you should have about yourself, in which, if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you like, and you don't know where you're supposed to go, and you don't know your purpose, and you don't know why you're here, and you don't know what you're here to fulfill, and you're with someone that keeps you in a negative state of being all the time, which limits you to getting to that version of yourself, do yourself a favor and figure out, is that a person you really need to be with, or are there some things you need to fix? Because if it's something that needs to be let go and end, it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You're going to have to come to the realization that sometimes things do have to change, and change does have to start with you. So ending the relationship, it's okay. It's not going to be as painful as you think it is, but it might hurt. It may hurt. You've been in a cycle long enough. You've been pointing fingers long enough. Maybe it's been comfortable. Maybe it was that you found familiarity. Maybe it felt like home. Maybe. But also maybe it was draining you. Maybe you were cussing a little bit more than you wanted to cuss. Maybe you were crying a little bit more often than you wanted to cry. Maybe you were more frustrated at times where you didn't need to be frustrated. And then you come to the realization, I didn't even have to be frustrated. I didn't have to act like that. I didn't have to talk like that. I didn't have to move like that. I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to be that version of myself. And it weighs on you. And you struggle with it. If that's what it is, sometimes you just got to make the hard decision, this ain't for me. You got to make the decision, you got to let this go. You got to let the cards fall where they fall, is what they used to say. Because you aren't meant to live that way. You aren't meant to be destructive. You're not meant to be throwing things all the time. You're not meant to be yelling and fussing. You're not meant to be cussing and putting hands on one another. You're not meant for that. You're not meant to be around somebody and then they lead you to be triggered, to indulge in vices because you want to numb or run away or hide. Come on. I know it sounds simple, but so many people live in a life in a state of chaos, and unnecessarily. Having a relationship, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, whether it's business, or whatever, even if it's just with yourself, it requires you to have some energy, and it requires you to have effort. And if you're not tuned in and you're not in harmony, real life, if you're not having joy, you are miserable. And that is Let's be real. Living with somebody and arguing with somebody, or even having a job, having a career. At this point, I won't say that I don't like my job. I will not say that. That is a very, that would be a very exaggerated overstatement. It's not that I don't like my job, but it's inconvenient. I have come to the point where my career that I had for the last, seriously, I make 25 years in December of 2025, 25 years. And I have made it to the point where having this career that I've always had is starting to be more of an inconvenience, not because I don't like it, but because the chapter of my life that I needed to start has started. And now it's an inconvenience. It needed to end. I mean, if there's any other way to say it, that's it. That's the only way of seeing it. And it no longer serves in the way that it no longer serves in the way that it needs to serve, but it's also not meeting the expectation of where I'm at now. And it's not even about the money. It's about the energy that I have to put out. It's about the effort that I have to put out. It has nothing, in no relation to even that. My energy can't go to that anymore. And so because my energy can't flow that way anymore, I have to recognize that this is where it breaks up at. I have to recognize that that's where that book and that's where that chapter and that's where that line ended. And this is where this new book, this new chapter, this new line starts. And you got to be able to define that. And you got to be able to be clear with that on your part. Because if you're not ready, one, you're going to keep going back and continue to have a vicious cycle yet again. And if you are ready, you're going to know how to do it in a way that is clean. It's clean. It's clean cut. Ain't nobody's feelings hurt. Maybe you stay because of history. Maybe you stay because of fear. Maybe you stay because you had something that you wanted to fulfill and it just couldn't seem to come out like in the way you think it was supposed to come out. Maybe it is them. Maybe it's not you at all. Maybe it's time for you to let it go. Maybe it's time for you to make a change, but it's really them, because if they would have got it together, or if it would have fulfilled in a way that it was supposed to fulfill, if it would have hit in a way it was supposed to hit, then you wouldn't be saying what you're saying. But we are where we are right now. You can't pour one where there's nowhere for you to pour. It's like if someone had a glass for you, but instead of giving you the glass with the where it's able to hold volume, it's turned upside down. So then you're pouring it on the bottom and it's just pouring over the side. Well, they got the cup, but it ain't for you to pour in. They don't have it ready for you to pour in it so it can hold volume. They only have it ready for you to say, no, thank you. And so if someone is giving you the no, thank you, listen and pay attention. It's okay to hold space for others, but it's not okay to hold space with others and they vibrate low. It's not okay to hold space with others and they keep a non-functioning, unhealthy frequency. It's no need to be hanging out with anybody that is going to put you in a position of struggle and lack because they have less than you to lose. Why would you do that? You're settling. You're settling. Why would you want to settle? Why would you want to settle? You know better. You are powerful. You are worthy. You are loved. So why would you settle? Why not honor yourself? Why not step into the chapters of a book that honor you and serve you, and you are the character fulfilling everything that you were supposed to come here and fulfill? But let me tell you, how you end a relationship is you want to be sure about your decision. Don't be hasty. Don't do it because you're rash. I'm one of those people sometimes, so I talk really, really well in this sense, right? But if I get to a point where I'm irritated or I'm mad or I'm pissed off, honey, just walk away. And I'm really good about being in private when I have my own crash outs and meltdowns. I've never been a crash out in front of a whole bunch of people because I know when I crash out, it's not a good look for nobody. Like I'm hurting somebody's feelings because it comes out all bad. All bad. It comes out so crazy. So I stay out the way when I'm ready to crash out. But when I do, I put a lot of thought into it. I don't just go into this whole meltdown, right? But so often a lot of people don't. So if you are in a place of it's just you making a quick decision and it's not really you are having a real problem and the problem is really you and you need to assess you before you be so hasty about your decision. Just be sure that before you let a good thing go, it's not a good thing. It's really not beneficial or you're not beneficial to it. Okay. So if we're talking about professionally, don't go quit your job before you find something else that serves you well. Right? don't don't do that. And if you're in a relationship, don't go quit your relationship just because you mad right now and it's not that you really that mad, it's just you talking crazy. Be intentional. Be very intentional. Because in the end, you got to see things through. Sometimes when you start something, you got to finish it all the way out. And if that's not something you want to finish all the way out, don't start. Don't let there be something when there's really nothing. That's all I'm saying. Make sure it's the best decision for you. And you got to choose the right time and the right place. I don't know about y'all, but some people are real, some people are really, I want to say crazy, but I want to be careful with the word crazy. Some people really, really do feel a sense of you can't be with nobody else. And you better not ever let this relationship go, or you are not going to be living anymore. I just want to be clear with you about this. So, if you are with a person who will crash out about you, make sure you do it in a time and a place, in an area with people that are able to witness and help you in the event you need to be helped. Because there are so many men and women who harm other people because they don't want to be stayed with. And I know that sounds crazy, but we all know that is true. Domestic violence is very high. And if you are in a domestic violence situation, again, you need to call 911 at any given time when you are in danger. I know you love them. I know you want to be with them. I know you want to protect them. I know you want to protect her. I know you don't want her to go to jail. It's men and women who both put hands on people, and there are men and women who both deserve to go to jail because they can't keep them hands to themselves. And so, with that being said, go to a well lit, well populated place if you need to go there with a person. Well, you should be doing that anyway. You should be doing that anyway because if you're with somebody and you have these emotions and these feelings and this chemistry for one another, if you are in a place where you can be very intimate and close to close, sometimes you can be talked out of your clothes unnecessarily because you didn't have boundaries and you didn't go to a place that was again well lit and ready for you to give that kind of information to a person like I really have thought about this and it's time for us to let this go. Well, some people ain't ready to hear that. So again, go to a place where it serves you best because if it was to go in any wrong way, it gives you opportunity to be safe. And again, if safety is a concern, prioritize that. Choosing a private setting is okay, but be mindful that if you are well connected to a person and they understand your soft spots, you don't want to be vulnerable in ways that you don't need to be vulnerable. You can be kind, you can be honest, but this is not the time for you to have expression of vulnerability that you are not able to continue to hold strong. You can't stay definitive about your decision. You wavering a little bit. You wavering because y'all too close. It's time to back up a little bit. I'm just saying, I'm just sharing. Okay. So be very kind, but don't be too kind because some people will take your kindness not only for weakness, but for cues. And that's not what you want. So ending relationship for you in that kind of way. Make sure you know what you want to say before you say it. It's okay to practice your lines. It's okay to say, not even the whole cliche line of it's me, it's not you. Well, maybe it is you too. But with that being said, make sure that you are clear about what your either issues are, if that's something you will potentially work on. But if you're sure this relationship needs to end, be sure of I don't need this part anymore. This doesn't equate to love for me, and it never did. This hurts me. This is what caused the failure to occur. This is what the struggle is for me. Be clear on that, because again, if you are going in there honest and you're going in there true, you are going in there to end the relationship. You are going in there to say, this ain't working. And if you are going to say that, be clear in what you are saying. Be sure of what you are saying, because you need love too. You need kindness too. You need honesty too. You need trust too. You need these things too. And so the things that you are needing, those are the things that you are expressing that you didn't have. So be clear in what it is that you are wanting to express to another person about why you are ending your relationship. I didn't get what I needed. This is what I needed. This is, whether it's your love language, go read a book. Go read the 5 love languages. Go find out what your love language is, so that when you tell somebody, this is how I need to be loved, when they are giving you acts of service and you didn't want acts of service, you would prefer to be touched. If then they're giving you the touch, but at the same time, you know, in these particular moments, you just want to be alone. Like, be honest about who you are and what you are needing to feel safe. Give them what you need them to know in order to treat you well, in the sense of, this is the tenderness that I need to give my partner, if that's what you're wanting to do. But what it also does is prepares you for your next relationship. It prepares you for how you deal with yourself. It prepares you in how you need to process some things, because you've expressed yourself. They're maybe not going to be able to give it to you. They may be able to not reciprocate back to you the things that they need and the things that are going to be necessary for the relationship to grow. And so you do have to choose to end the relationship. And in that, you have to be willing to take accountability of, this person can't give me what I thought they could. The fantasy of who I thought this person could be for me is no longer real. And so I have to cut that off for myself. I have to cut the fantasy off of myself. It wasn't them giving me the fantasy. It was me creating the fantasy. So I have to be able to cut that off with being honest. Be honest with yourself. You know, if you got different goals, if you got different rituals, if you got different plans, if you got different journeys, and it's not really coming together, you're not really connected in the way that you could be connected, well, let me tell you, I ain't saying there's somebody else out there for you. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, there are plenty of people going in the same direction as you. And if there's someone trying to pull you back from a direction that you know you want to head in, if there's someone stopping you, you know you need to go this way, right? You know you need to go this way, but they keep saying no, no, no. If you keep continuing to be with a person for so long, you will believe that that's really how it's supposed to be. You'll believe that your main thing ain't the main thing no more. You will believe that what you really want ain't what you want anymore. What you like, you don't think you like that no more, because you'll end up having to just compromise. And because you'll think that's part of the relationship. Let me compromise. You know, if it's like the person is a drinker and you thought, oh, one time at some point they're going to quit. Maybe they don't quit. Maybe they continue to drink their whole life, and maybe they don't have any plans on quitting. Well, in 5 years, are you going to be able to deal with that if you can't deal with it today? Oh, no. Or, yeah, okay, well, in 10 years, can you deal with the same thing? In 20 years, if nothing ever changes, will you be okay with the version of yourself that you have to show up in for that when it doesn't change? Will you be able to sustain that version of yourself? Oftentimes, no. No. I have a boundary. I have a limit. So maybe in 5 years, yeah, I can handle it. But 10 years, 20 years from now, I'm going to cut up. I don't want to crash out in 20 years over something I could have took care of in year 1. You don't have to. You don't have to. You set boundaries. You set boundaries not only to move forward, but you set boundaries moving forward. Moving forward, you will no longer preserve that part of you that doesn't need to be preserved. The part of you that is always, you know, some people, let me just, I don't know. I don't know what happened. But as I was saying, there are people that are in relationships. They're getting out of these relationships. And as they get out of these relationships, they're going to find themselves in another relationship. They're going to find themselves meeting someone else. And they're going to meet someone else with the same baggage and the same stress and the same worry, and they're going to have the same behaviors and the same conversation. They're going to have the same draws. They're going to have the same everything that they had as they are leaving this current relationship that they're in. And so they're going to find themselves replacing people, but not replacing the parts of them that do not need to be in the relationship. They're going to find themselves living out a version of themselves that doesn't change, that doesn't grow up, that doesn't have any sense of not only the basics, accountability and responsibility, but they have no sense of commitment. They have no sense of care, compassion. They don't have any sense of showing up in a way that is whole. And it's not that they intentionally don't want to. It's just that they have not made a decision to be better. And so they don't live out in a way that gives themselves a chance to be better. And you being a person, if you ain't that person, whatever, you being a person who's ready to end this relationship, you're ready to go on to the next thing, but you don't want to be the same version of yourself that you were. So you don't want to show up in your next relationship arguing. You don't want to show up in your next relationship, always worrying, always trying to figure out if it's going to work or not. Is this real or not? You don't want to show up in the next relationship like that. And the reason why you don't is because you want to be able to trust yourself to make the decision that this is good for me. And you got to do that by knowing where your boundaries are now. You got to do that now. There are times where you can, I don't want to say just be moving on like that, because, so many people do move on from relationships to relationship to relationship. I mean, if you're looking for a serious relationship, you don't want to go into the next relationship not having self-awareness. And you surely don't want to go into the next relationship having the same continuous problem that you had with a previous person, because what will happen is the common denominator is going to come down to it was you. And the common denominator is going to be that if you understood better what makes you tick, and you understood what better makes you respond in certain ways. Like, you're going to cut somebody out if they talk to you a certain way. Like, for myself, I can be honest. I can be very transparent in these videos. I don't like when nobody yells at me. I have trouble from my own childhood, adulthood, whatever. However, I don't like people yelling at me. And if you yell at me, the type of personality that you're going to get back from me is not going to be the professional one that you hear talking today. What you're going to hear from me is a whole lot of recklessness and a whole lot of. And it's going to come down to, why did she say that? Because I didn't say that. You're right. I went above and beyond. Because that's what I do. I do it in excellence. I go above and beyond in excellence. And so therefore, I'm going to talk to you in a way that is above and beyond. And I ain't say good or bad. I said in excellence. So I'm going to do it real good. You don't want to talk to me crazy, and you don't want to yell at me. I'm very big about that. So in my present relationship, because I came from a relationship where it was cats and dogs, arguing. Well, you got to know when you want to end that version of yourself. You got to know when you want to end that version of, I'm not doing that every day. I'm not going to show up like this every day. I'm not going to do this same energy every day. I'm not going to live out this low vibrational frequency every day. I'm not going to waste my time every single day. I'm not going to do that, because what I need to be doing next, I can't live like this. And so because I can't live like this, I got to let you go. And because I can't live like this, I can't love myself like this, I don't want to be in this area in this way with you. You have to be willing to say that. Otherwise, you're saying to that version of yourself that is yelling, profane, always sick, always bothered, got to be worried and stressed, always got your shoulders up to your ears. You are always worried about the things that you don't have to worry about until you get real with, I don't like that version of me either. You're going to always stay in a vicious cycle. You're always going to go round and round, not with that person, but with the version of yourself, which is showing up for that person, which keeps you in a combative state. And because you don't know how to get yourself out of being the version of yourself that you don't like, you don't know how to get yourself out of a relationship that requires the version of you that you don't like. And until you accept that it has to end and be very clear about it, you're going to get this. And you let them move on. You let it go. You let them Let them move on, because you're going to have to move on, not for another person. So be it. If you meet someone else, hey, so be it. Because they're going to meet someone else, so be it. You are showing up for the version of yourself that you said, this is the person that I needed myself to be, because this is how I like to be loved. This is how I feel when I'm loved best. I show up better. I'm confident now. I'm more honest with myself. I see myself for how I really should be seeing myself. I'm doing the things that I told myself I knew I could do. I'm so much better because I let go of the negativity that I had. Not them, but what I had. When you can get honest with yourself, then you attract to yourself, you magnetize yourself to not only have people, but situations even occur for you in your life because you showed up for you. By ending that, you show up for you. You got to be prepared for your emotions. You got to be prepared for your emotions because you're going to change. Maturation requires emotions because it allows you to utilize wisdom. A wise person, they feel it. They sense it. They can inherently see things before it happens because they recognize patterns. They can see developments. A wise person, this is what I'm speaking about, a wise person. A wise person seems advanced. It's not that they are truly more advanced than anyone. That's why you can have a wise child. That's why you can have a young old soul. They see things, they recognize things because it's intuition and it's experience. Well, you now have experience. You now have experienced yourself, whether it be in a relationship or with behaviors or with energy or whatever. You have now experienced yourself to know better. And so you don't latch on to relationships that aren't going to serve you now. You're not going to latch on to relationships that bring out the worst of you. You latch on to relationships that bring out the best of you because you recognize your patterns now. You can recognize your next steps. You can recognize this is who I really have to be to get the results that I want in my life. You can't manifest anything if you're not in the vibrational frequency of it. So that means if I wanted to put my hand, I'm putting my hand on my desk. Well, I'm in the vibrational frequency of it. I'm seeing it. It's quantum at this point because I can see it, I can put my hands on it, I can feel it, and I can pick it up and I can transition it. But here's the thing, all relationships aren't like that. But you can be like that with yourself. So if I can feel myself, right? And I can feel what makes me feel good, meaning, oh, I love giving good gifts because that's my love language. So I get to do this action and I feel me now. Well, if I'm with a person who's like, I don't like that. I don't like surprises. Oh, you did that. You can take that back. I don't like that. Or I'm going to take it back and get what I want. Like, oh my God. You know how long it took me to think you know how long it took me to think about that? Not because it's something elaborate and not because it was expensive, but because I really thought about it for you. And for someone to be like, oh, I ain't want that anyway. I don't like that. You be like, oh my God, that is crazy. Or if you're a person who likes to touch, if you're like with a person who's like, get off of me. I don't like that. I don't like cuddling. You're sweaty. I don't like cuddling. You know, that your feet cold, whatever. If you're close connected and that connection just isn't making, it's not doing it. You now are wise enough to know, well, I'm going to find somebody who like that. I'm going to find a situation for me that allows me to be fully present and it's received well. And I know it's received well because then they get to express their love language. Or it gets to give back to you in the way that you need it to be given back to. You got the full clear cycle then. It's not a dysfunctional cycle, it's a healthy cycle. Now that you got the wisdom to recognize how you show up, you have the wisdom to recognize how you need to feel, you have the wisdom to recognize what you need to give. Now you are open and attracting what you're really supposed to have. when you're not honest, when you're not keeping it real, when you arguing all the time and you using words that you don't normally use, like, yeah, motherfucker, what? What? What'd you say? Crash out. Ah! Yeah, one of them. If you in that kind of relationship, or if you're in a relationship that is just like, man, this don't feel good. And I'm really big on like, if my ancestors really ain't fooling with you, I don't really want food. That means if I'm not in alignment with you on a lot of levels, on deep levels, we really ain't really got much to talk about. We really can't rock too far. Okay? Because I know that, you know, there are certain things for my life, if it's not really lining up, I feel it. And if you one of them people that brings things with you that don't really line up, whether it's spiritually, mentally, emotionally, on a health note, on even on a lifestyle note, some people don't even like to clean themselves good or clean up behind themselves well. If we and I got moments now, don't get me wrong, I got moments where I'm just like, you know what, and I got runs, I won't even hold you on that. I have runs sometimes where I'm like, you know what, I probably need a maid because this has gotten too far and I have to go and get myself together and be like, handle it. But then you got other people who are OCD, like they can't not have, they can have no dust in their house. They got to have a white glove everywhere they go. There are some people who clash and don't belong together, and they didn't know that they didn't belong together until they figured out that they didn't belong together. And because then they figured it out, they got to go. They got to, I think you better let it go. Talking about another love, TKO. They were knocking each other out, and not in a good loving way. Not in a good way. I ain't talking about knocking each other out like club on the head, but I'm talking about you was knocking each other out with them low blows of words. You was knocking each other out with low blows of, you know, being petty, not even just in the sense of like, man, I've experienced it myself. Let me not front, right? But you know, you got people who are in relationships, and one will be at home, and then the other one's out at 4 o'clock in the morning. And you would think that the one that's at home would know where the one that's out in the morning time at, but they don't know where they partner at. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and they partner laid up with somebody else, and then all of a sudden they worried and they stressed out and they frustrated and they trying to figure out where they boo at, and they tossing. Listen, I ain't talking. There's wisdom talking. That's wisdom talking. That means I've had the experience, and I tell you what, I wouldn't do it again. I sure ain't. I promise you that much. I will not play with somebody else. Don't play with me. Play with your mama. Play with your cousin. Play with anybody else. But don't play with me like that. I promise you. You do not want to be the one at 5 o'clock in the morning being somewheres I don't know, and I'm not at, and I'm not with it. Job bye. Let me tell you what will happen. You're going to come back up in here, and you're going to find that version of me that you didn't like. But truth be told, it wouldn't happen to me today. It wouldn't. Because I'm very clear in my boundaries with my partner. I'm extremely clear with my boundaries. And I don't miss no words. I'm extremely clear about my boundaries. And that's not something I would do, and it's not something I would allow. And it's not that they can't do it. You can do whatever you want to do. That's what people also have to learn in these relationships. People will do what they want to do, and people will do when they want to do. And so if you have a partner and you're saying to them, these are the things I like, and you are not expecting it, but just open to it, they will do what they want to do. Oh, I like flowers. Oh my God, you bring me flowers. Oh, I like when you clean up this kind of way. It takes off my pressure and it helps me in this kind of way. I love getting my car clean. Okay, you want to take my car to get clean? That's one less thought that I have. You want to take my car to get gas? Shit, you love me. Thank you. I'd take it like that. You got other people. For prime example, let me give you a personal story. It is not a sad story, and it is not a story to get you all caught up in, oh my God, that happened to her. I was married. I was married at 19 years old. And I don't recommend it, but if you love somebody and you want to get married at 19, okay, cool, that is your business. But I do not recommend it. Um, I got married at 19 and he was upset with me. And it just so happened that I needed to change my tire. I got it flat. And it was cold outside and it was hard to get the tire off. I was a little bit smaller then, and I put the thing on there, and I'm like jumping on the car, like jumping on the little wrench thing. And so someone comes out and is like, "Where's your husband?" Like, girl, what the hell is you doing? Where is your husband, child? And I went back inside and I was like, I'm having trouble getting the thing off my car. And he says, take it to the shop. So I take it to the shop, not because that's just what it was, right? So I take it to the shop and they was like, oh, it was so easy to get off. Why'd you bring it into the shop? And I said, because my husband told me to bring it to the shop. And the look that a man gave me about when I said my husband told me to bring it to the shop, in the sense of he would not help me because he would have understood how easy it was to change this lug nut, get the lug nut off the tire. He would have saw how easy it was, but he was so unwilling to help that I felt that. And when I shared it with someone else, they felt it for me. And that was just one of those things that I held to be like, dang, that's messed up, right? However, 20 years later, I'm with someone now, I dare not touch the tire. And he ain't got to tell me that. I dare not touch what I'm pulling out the spare out the trunk. I better be by myself and I'm on a stranded long road. I better be having to figure it out on my own because he wasn't there. If he is around and I'm around, I don't even think I've ever pumped gas. I dare not touch the wrench to take off the lug nut. And so I'm telling you that, yes, you can end a relationship and you can find what brings you peace because you presented yourself what you needed. I had to give myself what I needed. I had to recognize where my worth was at. I had to recognize that I deserved better. And it's not just because someone didn't help me take off the tire, it was the consideration. I had to consider me, and in considering me, I had to consider this is not how I wanted to live. I didn't want to live with someone that would allow me to have to figure certain things out that I shouldn't have had to figure out. Not because I couldn't figure it out. I have enough intellect that I wanted to figure it out, that I wanted to do what I needed to do. But as a woman, I didn't have to, and I shouldn't have. As a man, there's things that men need. As a man, some men have things that they should not be doing, but because they are allowing themselves to not be considered, they are allowing themselves to be in positions that they don't need to be in. They are now dealing with situations they shouldn't be dealing with. So many men suffer at the hands of women by not being able to be fathers the way that they need to be fathers. I'm just saying, there are times where women hold children in position of being war tools for their fathers versus these are children that we made out of love and should be co-parenting. There are people who are struggling within relationships where you would think that certain things are just off limits. Well, no, all is fair in war at this point. And so that's what you got. Two people warring right now. And sometimes, yes, the man is the victim. And it's just in the end, if it's a person or a relationship or a career or whatever it may be, if it's not for you, it needs to end because you will never be the version of yourself that you need to be, whether it be a father, whether it be a friend, whether it be a child, you be a son or a daughter, whether it be whatever, or maybe it's just you be the most authentic version of yourself. Sometimes you will be in a relationship with a person who does not want you to be the authentic version of yourself. Ooh, you look too happy. Ooh, what you laughing for? Like, whoa. I thought it was funny. Some people can't find things funny because all of a sudden the partner is sensitive. If you are that person, it is okay to end a relationship, but do it in a way that it is safe. Do it in a way that is honest. Do it in a way that is kind to you. Do it in a way that sets boundaries. Do it in a way that allows this particular relationship to end just on a mutual note of we're not best for each other. We're not good for each other either, but we're definitely not best for one another. And because I am not in what's best for you and I don't have what's best for you, that means I don't need to be here. Someone else does. Or you need to find what it is for you to do with you because it ain't with me. There are those endings, and it's okay to end a relationship. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up. I want to just share, if you're watching this playback, I know it was long-winded today, but it's alive. I'm going to do a series of long-form videos and some shorts this coming week, sharing this particular content. I'm going to go live again about how to end a relationship, not just talking about professionally, not just talking about personally, but just in a sense of if you're not presenting yourself with the best version of yourself, which is the best gift, if you're not being present, if you're not being authentic, if you're not being real, if you're not being realistic, if you're not being, if you're not holding yourself to standards that you know you should be living, I'm going to be doing a series of videos for that. But with that being said, I am sponsoring this video with New Extracts products. iLift for Life is my team. I'm looking for transformation coaches. You will become certified and you will be certified independent transformation coaches. I am looking for coaches to join my team. So if you are a professional, whether you are a psychologist or not, it does not matter to me. But if you are a professional, whether you are a spa owner, a hairstylist, you are a person who's wanting to learn business and become a transformation coach, I am looking for people to join my team. With that, I show people not only to get mentally healthy, but physically healthy. With that being said, I show people how to clean their body with a stem cell therapy regimen, a daily regimen for your stem cells. Your stem cells are your basic blocks to your body. That's how your white blood cells and your red blood cells get healing. Your stem cells, which are the messengers with the mitochondria, they are what tells your white blood cells it's okay to fight, have an immune system. We are going to fight this. And your red blood cells are your building blocks and saying, I'm carrying nutrients and I'm carrying minerals and I'm carrying metals, the things that you need. You need iron, right? You need calcium. You need vitamin D. You need those things in your cells to be fed. Well, what happens if you are sick? What happens if you have an infection? What happens if you are struggling with something? Your cells will be giving food, right, to certain cells. So if you are having an infection, it's going to give it more life. If you are having any type of dis-ease, it's going to give it more life. That's how cancer spreads throughout the body. It starts in one place and it can move throughout the body. Well, you need a stem cell therapy regimen. This is iHercules. This is just a particular product that I'm showing you today. iHercules, it is a microcirculation blood cleaner. A microcirculation blood cleaner helps your stem cells get the right messages to the right body parts in the right way. So you will have that healthier heart. You will have those healthier, gut enzymes. You will have that healthier bowel movement and getting those toxins out of your body because now your body has had some stem cell therapy. How do you get that? I will drop it down in the comments or down in the description. But you get this through newextracts.com/iLift for Life. iLift for Life, again, is my team. And so if you would like to be a transformation coach and learn more about how to be a transformation coach, definitely go to my iLiftforlife.com. So, and when you go to iLiftforlife.com, you go ahead and fill out your name and your email address. I do believe it requests your phone number, and we will set up a Zoom meeting so I can understand what your goals are as a transformation coach and understanding how you will help people. So anyway, I won't hold y'all very long. I thank y'all for joining me today. Hi there. Who's that? Miss Furry. Thank you for joining me today. I'm jumping off. We got game night tonight, baby. We're gonna go to the post. We're gonna go to the I don't know. I'm a basketball mom. So you know how basketball moms are. I know I can tell you about defense. I know how to, pump fake and all that, do spins and all that. But when we start talking about the terminology of it, I don't have it all down packed. So my son thinks I'm crazy. So we're gonna go to the game tonight and clap it up and act a fool because he's doing really good. So thank y'all for joining me today. I will be back. That is the topic for this week, and we are building. So peace, y'all.